Take us back.
Okay, so having worked with her for quite some time, we understood each other. She basically understood my aesthetic, and she felt I was also like in line with what she wanted, because her aesthetic has always been about timeless, elegant, black and white, like clean, knowing her. So that was kind of like the direction I also like took with whatever like it is that I sketched or whatever I envisioned. So I think basically, I earned her trust, and gradually like became a friend, which I had not even really set out to be initially. But like with time, I became like a really, really close friend. And right about that time, she was approached by NTV because they had a show concept for like a fashion TV show. And they basically needed like a panelist.
Okay.
She was like enlisted as a host, and they needed a panelist, and she, handed in my name because she felt, she could trust me and she could trust my opinion.
Okay.
Yes.
When was this?
This was towards the end of 2015.
End of 2015.
Yes, December 2015.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, so this is the style project?
Yes, this is a style project.
Oh, I thought you worked on African Woman magazine.
Yes, so African Woman was also like her brainchild.
Yes.
Yes, and you remember African Woman? We branded around beginning of 2016.
Ah.
And this time they
Is it just 2016?
Yes, they rebranded as an online magazine. And yes, I was taken on as a fashion editor as well. So I basically worked 3 jobs then.
Thank you for stressing that, because
3 jobs.
that's a busy life.
So taking it back to the question you asked about my mom, initially she just didn't really understand what this was all about. Like, but is that even really like formal? Do people make money off of that? And then she would look at how I dress sometimes. She's like, no, I don't like how you're dressing. Your jeans are too tight. Or your hair is not combed. I don't like the color of your shirt. And I would tell her, it's like, this is me. It's I love this me, and I love that it's, basically part of, like, it's key to what I do. And then she'd be like, do people dress like this at your job? Like, do your peers dress the same way? Do they wear skinny jeans? And it took a lot of convincing, and because like as a parent, you always worry for your child, especially if you're uncertain about what it is that they're doing or the turn that they have taken in their career. So with time, actually, she was convinced because I was doing well for myself. I moved out to my sister's house, and I was comfortable. I'd pay my bills. So I think with
a lot of parents, that's when they're like, oh, okay.
So it's when she finally embraced it. But even up to now, time and time again, she still checks in. She's like, are you fine? Like, is everything okay? So it's something she had just had to, accommodate. And like,
did she ever like come to your workplace?
Yeah, she did, like a couple of times.
Okay.
Yes. And then because I remember with African Woman, it was like a proper, like office setting. So she came around, and then she looked around, and I think she felt contented. She's like,
okay.
It's not that bad. Despite the fact that we would all dress like, I love working in the creative industry because you have the liberty to express yourself.
Yes.
It's not so rigid. I feel I would literally just die if I worked in a very like, I honestly can't even imagine myself like as a credit officer or like a bank.
Now when you think about it.
Yes.
No, that would be a loss for us, a huge loss. Every day you have to wear like a proper shirt.
But then you think about it sometimes and you're like, if I had maybe the opportunity to like work like a week,
Just to
check it out,
see.
just to see.
So, what is like your most daring look? Because I imagine to working in fashion, you're constantly picking up ideas, thinking I can try this and I can try that. Personally, for you, what do you feel is your most daring thing you've ever done?
Most daring thing I've ever done was, I think I can't pinpoint one thing in particular, because say 1 year ago I used to get like really like liberal with what I would do to my hair.
Okay.
Sometimes I would color it, and then I would cut it, and then I would install dreadlocks, and then it was always, it always had to do with my hair. Like a lot of.
Was it like a whole year of just trying different things?
This was, I think I basically started like toying with my hair in 2013.
So your hair.
Yes, but then also like mostly for the red carpet, or if like I'm hosting a red carpet event, or if I'm attending any red carpet event, I always try to, you know, push the envelope and think out of the box.
Okay.
Yeah, because for me, fashion is a form of like expression. People don't realize you can communicate through fashion and through what you wear. Yes, so most times when I feel I need to put a message out there, it basically is put out through what I choose to put on my body, because I'm not a very vocal person.
Okay.
Yes.
So you speak through your sense of style.
Yes.
Okay. I find that talking about the red carpet and fashion, that, for even though internationally you have a lot of men who are huge in fashion, in Uganda, a lot of people thought that was a domain for women. But now we're seeing a lot more men coming up. Was that a challenge for you?
It actually never was a challenge.
Okay, that's
because
great.
it makes sense. And then when I put it into perspective,
You're like, no.
No, it never was for me.
So would you style men and women?
Yes, basically, yeah. I style men and women.
You talked about sketching, so that means you first started with your art.
I first started with the art.
And concepts.
And then whenever I started with art, because art is also a very broad, it's a very broad subject. So there's like very different little like elements that make up art. There's fashion, there's design, and there's a lot of things. So I was basically just trying to find myself in there. I was just trying to find my calling. So it's when I realized it was fashion.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So you were with African Women magazine,
Yes.
the Style Project. So that was keeping you very busy. Then you started like styling, I think,
Okay, styling.
celebrities. When did that happen?
Styling happened whenever I was still working with Sylvia, like for the Sylvia oil brand, because I realized that much as I could sketch and like basically, supervise the making of like a whole outfit, I felt like my strengths were in like how I wanted that outfit presented. We'd have clients come in, and whenever they would come in to pick their clothes, basically, of course, they would fuss about, so what shoes am I wearing? Like, which jewelry am I, putting on? And because it was like side by side, there was a design studio, and then there was the boutique. So I found myself helping a lot in the boutique as well.
Okay.
Yes, so yeah, with time I realized this was something that I could really be good at, and kind of like make some money. So my first styling project ever was, I remember it was an Oriflame. It was an Oriflame ad campaign.
Oh,
Oriflame. You
wasn't
remember
Juliana
Oriflame?
the first face? Juliana was the
Yes,
first
I
face.
actually worked on the Juliana project.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
And then they'd actually enlisted Sylvia, but then she tasked me with it. So yeah, it was my first project, and I was kind of like very, very nervous because, it was a big brand, and you know, you were working with an international crew. The photographers were flown in from like Europe. So yeah, I basically I was very nervous at the start, but I just put myself into it, immersed myself into it, and gave it my all. And yeah, they were very actually quite happy with the results.
Okay.
Yes.
So that was your
that
first
was
one.
the time I realized that I could really be good at this, and I could make some money off of it.
Okay.
Yes.
So did you leave the company then to start doing your own thing?
Yeah, I left Sylvia Worry at the beginning of last year. And I feel as a creative, you always constantly need to challenge yourself to grow. So I felt I'd gotten to a point in my career where I needed to push myself. You know that story about the ego, what it does, like when it has the nestlings and they're in the nest and it wants them to learn how to fly, it just basically comes and, you know, kicks. So I felt that was my time to, you know, like drop down and discover I can fly somewhere along the way. It was quite challenging because, being honest, it was quite tough then.
Did you know what you were getting yourself into?
First of all, I should say, it was around the time Sylvia left the Style Project.
Okay.
Yes, she left the Style Project, and because she had brought me on board, I basically was like at a, what do they call it? Like a crossroad where you have like a tough decision to make, you know?
Did she wanted you to leave too?
You know, naturally, even like the management and at NTV felt like I was not gonna be on the show anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because she had left, and now here I was, and I had to make a decision as to whether I would, you know, want to like go on with the show. You know, Sylvia's been very, very instrumental in my career. You know, she's one person that I probably give most of the credit to for what I am today. So that was a very tough decision for me to make.
I can
chose
imagine.
but either way, I chose to go with the show because starting out, I felt like I'd not really achieved what I'd set out to.
On the show?
Yes.
Okay.
And I just felt like there was a lot I had to offer, you know, and this platform was still there. The door was still open for me.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, I went with the show. But then with time I realized I could not like work with her anymore. And not having that comfort of having like a plan B, like a job. Because my employment, like with NTV, is basically I only work once a week.
Yeah. One show
Once
a
a
week.
week, or like whenever there's events around town, maybe I go cover the red carpet and whatnot. So fortunately, you know, I'd had a few clients in between, and then, you know, they kept coming. As a service provider, you always want to make sure you do a good job, because
I think for
people
many
say you're as good as your last work. So if it's good, and I mean, you know, working with celebrities, because they always like put you out there, they credit you and whatnot. So that, you know, also brought other clients along. Yes.
Earlier on, we were talking about, like you just said, it's not that easy. A lot of people still don't really understand it. What are the challenges? Because if we're honest, you're kind of maybe one of the first crop of people really doing this with intention.
I should say the challenges are like being undervalued here. Yeah. A stylist say Cape Town or Joburg, or I'm basically just giving African examples, because I feel South Africa is very progressive.
Yeah, yeah.
And as far as the styling and fashion industry is concerned, a stylist there literally makes, I do not know, say, because they bill per hour. A stylist here, practically, we do not bill per hour. Because first of all, you have the challenge of convincing someone that they really need you. I've had clients who were referred, or where I was recommended, and they were like, okay. So they write me or they call me and they're like, sir, maybe I have a shoot, or like I have, say, an event, and I need clothes, and they're like, how much are we looking at budget-wise? And then when you give them a quotation, they're like, but that's too much money. And you're like, why is it too much money? Because I could practically get these clothes for myself. So people, the majority of Ugandans still feel they can basically do what we do.
That's what I'm thinking. They don't want to spend.
They do not want to spend. But with advancement, and now that we're getting, the world is basically more progressive. People are starting to realize that stylists are actually very, very valid people in the industry.
They are. I mean, now when you watch movies or just even music videos, and a concept comes alive because of the outfits that set the tone, that match the environment. It's a lot that goes into it, because I think some people think that styling is just picking clothes.
It's just picking
clothes.
You pick the clothes and
putting them
you
pick the earrings and yet you might have a concept.
Yes.
Like you said, maybe it's black and white, or maybe it's futuristic, or maybe, and that is where the art comes in.
And the other thing is that there are actually a lot of clients are not even are not willing to pay for concepts. Say the celebrities, when I just need a photo shoot, like a promo photo shoot, or say I've not had pictures in quite some time. Some of them come to you and they don't know exactly what they want. They're like, I don't know, but it has to be nice and dramatic and whatnot. And then you're like, okay, but if I draw up a concept and then pitch this concept, you are going to not only pay for this concept, but for the clothes as well and the accessories. And they're like, no, because why would I pay for the concepts? Do you get where I'm coming from? They're not willing to pay for the real, the real talent. Because, you pick the clothes based off of what you've, conceptualized in your head. Yeah. So, and those are two separate things. So most times they're just like, no, I can only pay for your services or for getting the clothes, but for thinking about this concept and
that even sounds wrong for thinking about that's for free.
Even art directing, say a photo shoot, there's art directors are necessary. If there's no art director, then it's not going to come out the way you had envisioned it. And most times we find ourselves art directing these shoots because you know exactly how you want the look to come out. So these are things that they don't look into, that they underlook.
Okay.
And I think that's why there's still challenges in as far as to, how receptive the industry has been towards stylists.